agenda item, Arizona minimum equipment standards, information discussion item. Michael Britt.
Okay. All right. Back in January, we reviewed the minimum equipment standards, and through various discussions with the SIEC and the interoperable channel plan working groups, general consensus was that the minimum standards for VHF and UHF were okay the way they were. They didn't really need to be changed. At the January SIEC discussion recommended that we include 700 and 800 along with VHF and UHF, and then combine them into one document. So, in reviewing the existing standard, we were trying to put in the SIEC and Homeland Security grant guidance intent in one little paragraph, and it kind of got all jumbled up. So what we decided to do was to break out the PSCC legislation, the SIEC intent, and then the grants and federal agency contact all kind of separate and broken out. We provided, because we added the 700 and 800, we provided more references to the OIC's grant guidance and P25 decision tree documents on how to go about deciding whether you need to include P25 and so forth. That's part of the PSCR program, and along with that is their test standards. So what we ended up with as a standard, again, combining VHF, UHF, 800 and 700, and then really the only difference between the two is on P25, we had VHF and UHF as P25 capable, like we had previously, but then when we got to 700, 800, with the direction the state's going, just in general, that we felt the P25 should be required. All right, and we're going to have this posted out on our site and have it open for comments, and then we'll bring it back to the SIEC for full approval, and then bring it to the PSCC as well, since we've kind of invoked the legislative component of the PSCC's authority to create standards. Any discussion on this?
Anybody have any comments? I think that's what we talked about in January, so.
Okay.
One thing I did want to point out was the difference there between VHF, UHF, 700, 800 as well. We certainly, at this time, don't have the authority to force a local jurisdiction to implement 700, 800, P25. We did stress that, you know, all the 700, 800 megahertz systems in Arizona are P25. And we want to begin that process of saying, don't build anything that's not. You know, we realize that's unlikely, but that's the reason why that one says required as opposed to the capable on the other two. And that also aligns with the PSCC's vote back in April of 2007 to establish a P25 700 megahertz digital trunk system as the state long-term interoperability solution.
Right. So even though we aren't building it all at once, we're kind of piecemealing it together over time. That's the general direction. Okay.
Okay. Thanks, Mark.